Thou art indeed just, Lord. This sonnet is considered one of the dark sonnets or the terrible sonnets that Hopkins wrote around the year 1843, 1844, shortly before his death at the age of 44, while he was living in Dublin, Ireland. So this is one of the six terrible sonnets. This and the other one, considering himself a stranger. That poem and this are not so severe in terms of his mental anguish, but nevertheless, they are poems about his mental state and their protests against God, almost like they're addressed to a judge in a courtroom. He addresses God as Sir, and he repeats the word Sir a few times, saying, you are just and everything, but this isn't right. So anyway, this is the way this particular poem goes, and then we'll look at it line by line. Thou art indeed just, Lord, if I contend with thee. But, sir, so what I plead is just. Why do sinners' ways prosper, and why must disappointment all I endeavor end? Were thou my enemy, O thou my friend, how wouldst thou worse, I wonder, that thou dost defeat taught me? Oh, the sots and thralls of lust do in spare hours more thrive than I that spend, sir, my life upon thy cause. See, banks and brakes now, leaved how thick, laced they are again with Freddie Sherville. Look, and fresh winds shake them. Birds build, but not I build. No, but strain, time's eunuch, and not breed one work that wakes. Mine, O thou Lord of life, send my roots rain. So it is a protest, and he's asking God why, he's not getting help. And it is a poem that was written probably in reference to a quotation from the Old Testament, from Jeremiah 12, which reads this way. It was written in Latin, but here it is, translation. You would be in the right, Lord, if I should dispute with you. Even so, I must discuss the case with you. Why does the way of the godless prosper? Why live all the treacherous in contentment? So I'm sure many of us have felt this way and thought the same thought. Why do bad things happen to good people, or why do those in the wrong seem to prosper and live lives of luxury and have their own private jets and live sinful lives? Why does this happen when it just does not seem just? So that's what this poem is about. So even though it does not seem just, he says, thou art indeed just, Lord. So he's careful because he considers God his friend. He says that, even though you are my friend, you taught my ways. So it's very much like to seem a stranger is my lot, because this is his lot. Whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, all is well with my soul, as that other hymn says. But in this poem, he begins by saying, if I contend with you or dispute with you, sir, what I plead is, to me, seems like a just case. And then he contrasts his situation with that of sinners who prosper. So I must I always end in disappointment no matter what I start. And in the other poem, To Seem the Stranger, he ends with the word, I am a began. My whole life is a began. In other words, I never finish, disappointment. All I endeavor end. So that line does kind of reference the other line, I am a began. So that's the first quatrain. The second quatrain, were thou my enemy, O thou my friend, how wouldst thou worse? In other words, how would you treat me worse than you do now if I was your enemy? But you don't seem to treat your enemies any worse. I mean, they seem to do well with thriving. But me, I don't thrive, I wonder about that. Why dost thou defeat and thwart me, make everything difficult, impede my productivity, thwart me? So then, referring to the sots and thralls of lust, the slaves of sin, they do in their spare hours more thrive than I do, and I spend my entire life, I that spend, sir, my life upon thy cause. Everything I do is for you. And then he refers to nature. He says even the banks and braes, the brooks and the rivers and streams and everything in nature seems to thrive. Look how thick they are, laced with chervil, which is like growth and productivity. They're flourishing, and the fresh wind shakes them. Birds build, but not me, not I build, no, but strain. I strain all my efforts to produce, straining. But here I am, time's eunuch that does not breed, not one work that enlivens others, wakes, that inspires people. Mine, and then that's also a reference to his other poem where he says that his works are unheeded. All I produce is hoarded and unseen by others. Let's see if I have that poem here. No, I don't have it. But anyway, he says that everything that I've written is not published, so it's unseen, and that which is seen is unheeded in that other poem. So whether it's his teaching, to those students at the college in Dublin that don't heed his teaching, there's no productivity, doesn't see any results of it. So everything is barren with me. So, O Lord of life, please send my roots rain. So give me inspiration. So that's an overview of his argument. The octave is addressed formally, as I said, almost expecting from God an explanation of the reason why and how he orders the ways of man, keeps the world running. Like, it doesn't seem just, but yet the title is Thou Art Just. But you have to admit, Lord, things don't seem just, In the first line, it concedes that God is just in his affairs. However, he questions the fairness of allowing, all the evil that happens when he has dedicated his entire life to Christ. So he shouldn't have to struggle for his own affairs, but he does. He seems to be focused on his life work, both as a priest and as a poet, in this octave, that his work as a priest doesn't show results either. So all his endeavors, no matter whether it's priestly duties or his poetic artistry, ends in a disappointment. All I endeavor ends in disappointment in that first octave, quatrain. So, as I said, in the poem To Seem a Stranger, written around the same time, he complains about the lack of productivity with these words. He says, only what word wisest my heart breeds, dark heaven's baffling ban. So there he says that everything he attempts at creativity seems to be stifled by a God that prevents his fruitfulness. So I don't get it. That's basically what he's saying. Why thou my enemy, O thou my friend? Were you my enemy, rather? Things wouldn't seem to be much worse than they are, So it's almost like with friends like you, I don't need enemies. He acknowledges that they are friends, but he addresses, God, Christ saying that, speaking of his inability to thrive under the aegis of Christ, he contrasts his productivity to that of a bird. He sees the birds building their nests, and they thrive, And then other forms of nature, in the streams and rivers, you see all of the foliage, weeds, even weeds seem to be productive, flourishing. So he declares that he cannot understand why all this is going on. The slaves prosper, and the slaves of sin prosper, and the sots, as he calls them, and the drunkards, they all live a good life. And why can't he? It's a question often asked. For example, there's a Protestant hymn entitled "Farther Along," with these words: "Tempted and tried, we're oft made to wonder why it should be thus all the day long, while there are others living among us, never molested, though in the wrong. Then do we wonder why others prosper, living so wicked, year after year." So, that stanza from that poem seems to present the same argument. These are some of the arguments without answers. The sonnet might fall into the category of a mild, terrible sonnet, as I said. But once again, the structure is tightly woven with all the characteristics of all of his other masterpieces. So it would seem that, taking this argument, his argument with the Lord, and working it into like a poem, served as a kind of therapy for him, for his discontent. And then the final line is a prayer of petition. It says, "O thou Lord of life, send my roots rain." And of course, these words can be found many places in the Psalms and other parts of the Bible. This would be one. It says, "He's like a tree planted by streams of water that yields fruit in its season, and its leaf does not wither. In all that he does, he prospers." But not so Hopkins. That's what Hopkins would say, And then Isaiah 58 seems to sum up the entire argument. In these words, it says, "And the Lord shall guide you continually, and satisfy your soul in drought, and make fat your bones, and you shall be like watered garden, and like a spring of water whose waters fall not," or fail not. In other words, you will thrive if you stay close to the Lord. So that's his argument, and it's another terrible sonnet, and I pair it with "To Seem the Stranger" for its similarities there.